in autumn 2018, when we were getting together to launch Extinction Rebellion, comms specialists and psychologists came to us and they said, please don't do this. For God's sake, don't do this. You cannot, for starters, call yourselves Extinction Rebellion. You must tell a positive story. If you have doom in the very kind of title, you're just going to depress everybody. It's going to be a disaster. Thank God we completely ignored them. We went ahead and we did something new that went against all the rule books, and it worked. So we're trying to do something new, and the reason we're trying to do it is that things being polarizing or not is partly a matter simply of how things are. I mean, you cannot magic away the polarizing nature of much radical flank activity. It is inherent, I think that's been admitted. It's usually, in fact, deliberate. And this crisis demands as much unity as is feasible because of its thoroughly mundane quotidian basis in many of our everyday practices. And that's partly why we need to move beyond protest to action to directly improve things. This is what I call the sense in which the mass moderate flank that we envisage, is more radical than the radical flank. To be clear, in response to Ava about what I mean by moderate, what we mean by moderate, we do not mean moderating in any way our assessment of what the situation demands, and that's what I meant by saying it's all about coming from truth. In fact, it's about coming from truth more fully than we have done before. Now, Andreas says, yes, but you can't get sufficient change through incremental change to head off what's coming, and that's true. What's coming is going to go on getting worse for a very long time. There is going to have to be a lot of adaptation. There is going to have to be a lot of loss and damage. The tragic reality of the situation is that there is no shortcut here. And this is one of the problems with the radical flank model, and you see it with Just Stop Oil, that half the time people in Just Stop Oil say things like, we've got 3 years to save the world, we're going to turn it all around within 3 years. People from Just Stop Oil say things like, we're going to bring down the government. No, you're not. That's a fantasy. And the radical flank is inherently vulnerable to that kind of fantasy politics. The mass moderate flank that we envisage, is going to try to get beyond that to a longer, slower grind that can actually work. And yes, there is going to be immense suffering in the process. That is now tragically a matter of fact. And finally, it's a matter of where we put our energy partly. I'm not saying, let's abolish the radical flank or something like that. I don't have any authority to do that anyway. What I'm saying to people, like people in this room, people who may be watching, is what's actually the smartest thing to do right now? Is it to do sort of a bit more of what Just Stop Oil are doing, or a bit more of what the tire extinguishers are doing? I don't think that really leads us anywhere. In 2019, the radical flank achieved something. What we need to do now is take full advantage of that achievement, and that's what I'm trying to outline what we might be able to do.